I'm thinking about the dynamic of our households because the reality is sometimes when we hear the word being mission minded in the midst of crisis, mission is such a big word. So we're thinking of the world and we're thinking of what we need to go do for other people. And sometimes the hardest mission field is our house.
Oh, I love.
It's actually just being
Yeah.
committed to the purposes of God, to the people that we actually live with. Sometimes that can be the hardest dynamic of all. Some people live alone, and that's one dynamic. But there are others that live even with a roommate, or it's just you and your spouse, or maybe you have children or teenagers or young adult children that are now coming home, or whatever your dynamic is. Sometimes, a lot of times, the hardest mission field is actually your house. And I'm thinking about the number of times throughout the scripture that we see God send folks on a mission, but the first place they have to go is back to their own homes. It happens
I
all
love
throughout the scriptures. Gideon is going to win this incredible victory for the entire nation. But the very first thing Gideon had to do before he ever went to the battlefield for the country was to go back to his own home and tear down the idols that had been indicative of his entire family line. When Jesus in the New Testament would send out the disciples and he would say to them, listen, I want you to go to Jerusalem and then Judea and Samaria and then the uttermost parts of the earth. We're always thinking of mission in terms of the uttermost parts of the earth, but it started in Jerusalem, which is the city they came from. He didn't say go everywhere else. He said just go home. So I want to make sure that whether or not you're called to full-time ministry is irrelevant to the conversation we're having right now. He has not called you necessarily to the masses or me. What he's called me to be diligent to is this husband that I've been given to be married to, these three sons that he's entrusted to me to rear. And I can pray right now in the midst of this crisis. And literally, because this crisis has relegated us all to our actual literal homes, the prayer needs to be, Lord, before I even ever begin to look outward to how my family can be a blessing outward, what have you called me? What mission field have you called me to in these hours and days and weeks, turning into months potentially, that I'm going to be here in this household? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to extend your grace, your love, your patience, your kindness to these people that are right underneath the roof of my own house? I mean, listen, some relational dynamics are either going to change for the worse or for the better out of this. So we get to decide what kind of impact we're going to make within the confines of our own homes. And I think we need to consider that to be one of the most important missions as well.
Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe today and you'll never miss a new upload. Thanks for being a part of our Better Together community.